Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be just showcasing this Hytale hardware requirements and the first FAQ that Hytale is doing. Now, I won't spell out every single bit or piece of information on here, but I will put the screenshot up. Minimum requirements will be a i5 7500 or equivalent, or for the AMD Ryzen 3 1200. RAM-wise, they recommend with integrated graphics 12 GB, dedicated graphics 8 GB, and if you're doing multiplayer only, they only recommend 8 GB. GPU wise, you can also see on the screen for a dedicated GPU, they recommend 900 for NVIDIA or an AMD Radeon 400 series. Storage wise, you will need about 20 GB of free space and it's recommended to be an SSD. Recommended requirements will be a i5 10400 or AMD Ryzen 5 3600 or equivalent to either of those, as well as 16 GB of RAM. Now, for dedicated GPUs, you'll recommend the NVIDIA GTX 900 series or the AMD Radeon 400 series. You could also opt in to use the Arc A series. On top of that, the actual installation size for Hytale will be around 8 GB, and the save game size they mentioned in exploratory mode for about 5,500 blocks, around 600 MB, which is not too bad. We also have view distance. The most impactful performance option is called view distance. This is the radius around the player that is visible, loaded, and simulated around the player. The major problem of view distance is that every time you double the view distance, for example 192 to 384 blocks, you quadruple the amount of world that's around you. That means you have 4 times as many blocks and NPCs. It's like any kind of mob basically, which are causing your computer to work harder. For Hytale, they recommend 384 blocks. They say they designed Torbis around that distance, but if that's not good enough for you, you can also increase it to, I assume the max 1024 blocks. They have a couple of comparisons in here that I will show off as well. Now for the FAQ, we will start out with Hytale possibly being on Steam, and no, initially it will not be on Steam, though they want to spend time in early access working with the community to improve the game instead of floating the game with a ton of player impressions on Steam that you could steer the game in a different way. They're not shying away from constructing but negative criticism. Criticism is incredibly crucial to the game's success, and it's very important that we, the players, write feedback. They have been very vocal about the game being in a bad shape, so let's get in constructive feedback instead of nonsense. It's very important. This doesn't mean that Hytale won't ever be on Steam. Steam can be a great marketing tool, but they might not ever need that, considering the biggest game of all time, Minecraft, has its own launcher. Steam also lacks features that Hytale will have, so we'll see what happens with all that. Personally, I don't really care if it's on Steam or not. I understand that a lot of people do like Steam and they like to hoard all of their Steam games into one. Right now, I don't think it should be on Steam. Hytale will also not be on console during the early access period. Mac and Linux is still to be determined, but they are planning a console release at a later date, but it requires a huge amount of work on the back-end systems, and to be honest, resources are needed elsewhere, especially to just fix the game and give more content. There are some people asking if Hytale will be on mobile. It will not be on mobile during early access, but they're also evaluating if it's even possible to do in the future. It would be cool to see on mobile though, in my opinion. The content for each of the editions, that being standard, supporter, and curse breaker editions, will be announced soon. They are also planning on expanding the content for each edition. Surprisingly enough, even the standard edition over time in early access. So I think that's pretty sick. The more cosmetics for all, the better, and more we can express ourselves as players. If we do purchase the standard edition though, you will be able to upgrade your edition at a later date and only pay the difference between your current edition and the new editions. I'm happy that you're not locked into one edition. How long will the editions be available? The Hytale developers mentioned that they will only be ever available during the early access period, but you will keep access to the game and the cosmetics that you earn during that, even after the editions are not available anymore. Currently, you can't give Hytale to friends or family, but they're also working hard to implement it as soon as possible. They don't think it will be ready the time Hytale releases into early access. Hopefully soon after, because I would love to gift this game to a couple of friends of mine. Hytale also does not have a pre-purchase bonus. They're not a fan of creating artificial FOMO that comes with it. I'm really happy with that. I don't like FOMO. It's a horrible mechanic that a lot of games use, and I just don't like it. I've seen a lot of people talk about regional pricing, especially for those in Brazil and in the surrounding countries, but they can't promise that it will be there in time for the pre-purchase. But they're doing the best to make it happen, so hopefully they do make it happen. Will there be pets and animal taming in Hytale? Yes, they are planned for Hytale, but they're not ready yet. Same with fishing, which they are working on it, and mentioned that they have an interesting design for it, but they won't be there during the early access launch, which is kind of sad for me as I love fishing in games. It is one of my favorite things. Simon's also been talking about this for a while, which I'm kind of excited for it because I absolutely love this type of feature in games. But will Hytale have proximity chat? Prox chat has become a really prominent feature in games as of late, like Arc Raiders, peak even the amazing Minecraft mod, and it's been really funny as well. But they are close to having a system like it working, it just won't be there ready for early access. But proc chat is confirmed at some point. One question I have seen a lot of people ask is that will you be able to purchase cosmetics in the Hytale to support its development? Right now, you're not able to purchase individual cosmetics. You can only get the special cosmetics via the editions. They may offer extra cosmetics later once the game is in a much better state, and I think they should. Official cosmetics is a good way to keep funding the game while also allowing us to express ourselves. It is also great to see that non-paid cosmetics will be added over time too. Almost more importantly though, Hytale would never offer any pay-to-win options in the game at all, which is phenomenal to see. Of course, modders will be able to create visual mods for your characters. Unfortunately, they are not official content, which means you can't bring them to official servers. So any skin you make in Hytale, like in Minecraft, it will not be global, which is unfortunate. I don't like that personally, and I think they're wrong to do that. In the future, they may work directly with artists so they can sell their work in an official in-game store, which would be awesome. I would love to support fellow creators. Will Hytale be available in your local language? At early access launch, it will only be in English, but the game is built with localization in mind. They have good experience with a software called Crowden, which it's a localization feature, you know, languages, etc. But with a community, Hytale can create amazing localized experience for everybody, which is phenomenal to see. But, you know, maybe even pirate speak, or maybe some other funny languages could be added. Will Hytale take a cut from your third-party server? For the first 2 years, they will be taking 0% from any server or modders who want to monetize their work. Though, of course, this doesn't mean there are no costs at all, with monetization fees, payment provider fees, and more. A lot of server, like third parties, do take a cut, so there's that. What happens after those 2 years are over, it depends a lot on a lot of factors actually. But what they can say is that it won't ever exceed 20%, and if things go their way, they might not even reach 20%. How do you combat scalpers for unique usernames or those belonging to a well-known person? They mention that if someone is squatting on a username for the sole purpose of reselling, trading, ransom, or even maliciously blocking someone from getting that name, which is horrible, they will be able to reclaim that name as stated in their TOS and EULA. So if you're someone who's currently trying to save a lot of money, thinking, I'm gonna buy up a ton of names to, you know, extort a couple of content creators, yeah, no, you're not going to be able to do that. There will also be a creator program for Hytale where you can use a code at checkout. While it doesn't give you, the player, any benefits directly, the creator that you support will for sure be happy that you use it, as it'll allow them to create more content for everybody. I also love anyone who creates content for Hytale can participate. Anywhere from music, like a friend of mine, Slumma, who makes incredible music, by the way, check her out, mods, art, streams, videos, all kinds of creators. The sale percentage for creator codes will be 5% initially, while they recoup development cost, which makes sense. They plan to raise it to 7% at some point. What I do really like though is that nobody will get special deals, which is so good to hear. There are some creator programs where it's like staggered. Some bigger creators get more percentages, or some smaller gets less. I don't like that at all. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That was it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in orbit on January 13th.